Hello everybody, this is Astocky here and welcome back to just another quick episode. Fingers crossed this one's going to be quick because I'm hoping it will be, of me launching some more satellites. So basically, it's probably going to be a tiny little bit boring, but basically what I'm going to do is we'll scroll down. This is my forum thread. Basically this third mission where I launched that satellite, we're basically just going to repeat the very last launch that worked over and over again. Now, basically what we're going to get for this is we're going to get 10k because the mission is get into orbit 40k, probe is half price, so 20k. It's the second one that I've done, so it's half of that again, which means it's going to be 10k for the mission. Now I'm not going to get any achievement bonuses, but I am going to get the 50% ship return. So it's going to cost me just under 13,000, and I'm going to get back 10. Plus 6.5 for the ship, so I'm going to make about 4 per ship. Plus I'll get the 10k research bonus for each ship that works. That's going to be the first thing that I'm going to do, and then if we've got time, we'll see how that goes. I'm going to try a test ship. Now the way the test vehicles work, development and test only cost 25% of their actual cost, but can't leave suborbital flight around KSC. And there's no penalties associated with loss of the vehicle. You do, though, however, get, or at least I thought you got, no you don't. I thought you had like a test mission where you got bonus points for completing the test mission, but it seems that's no longer the case, so never mind. Yeah, basically it'll only cost 25% of its actual cost though, and if you're expecting to blow it up, that's not really a bad thing. And the aim is to lose no crew as well, so I'm probably going to make it like a probe ship, but we'll see how things go. So stay tuned. I'm going to jump back to the VAB. See you guys soon. Okay, so here we are, guys. We didn't actually make it to the VAB just yet, and the reason for that is I want to jump to my tracking station and check on both of my probes. So we're going to go to Station 1 Rev A and see how the 3 Kerbals are going on that particular ship. It's been up there for what looks to be 3 hours and 34 minutes of mission time, with John and Gustavus and Janaeus. See how its resources are going. Yep, still got plenty of oxygen there. It's not using it very quickly at all. Lots of monopropellant, lots of liquid fuel, lots of oxidizer. In fact, it's actually got quite a lot of everything, which is great. Now the test ship that I'm going to be working on, I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do it yet, but basically what I'm seeking to do, I wonder if this will even work. I'm going to turn on my Kethane detectors. I have 2, but I only really need 1. Maybe I need to activate the detector that's facing the planet. But yeah, it's doing really quite well. We have lots of electric charge. Everything is going pretty sweet with this thing. The ship that I'm going to be experimenting with is one that I'm going to be able to fly up here to basically replenish the oxygen on this ship, and fingers crossed if things work well, I'll actually also be able to use it to change out the crew. I'm hoping for some kind of reusable space plane. But I guess we'll have to see how things go. The idea being that this space lab can stay up here with its little detectors, detecting, that one's detecting gravity. What have we got over here? Got a probe, ooh, nice and cold. We have inner vacuum, what a surprise. And we're currently experiencing 0G. But this one here is the one that's showing us the good numbers. It's showing 6.18 meters per second squared of negative gravioles. So that's kind of important. Yeah, not really that important. We'll have a look how our Kethane detectors are going anyway. We've found a deposit. So where is that particular deposit? So we have the Kerbal Space Center over this way. And we're somewhere here in this, I don't even know what you'd call that. Let's kind of like the US and Mexico, but on its side if you tilt your head over a bit. But not particularly important. What is important is that that's annoying me. So time to switch ships. So I was nearby. No nearby objects to focus. Use the map view. Okay. The problem is I don't know actually how to do this with the map view. Maybe. No. Okay. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to jump back to the Space Center and then jump back out to my other probe. That's okay. Those guys are doing just fine, and we have found a Kethane deposit, so I can experiment with some of my drilling vehicles using the test rules. Now, how is this one going? Not a huge amount of fuel, but loads of power, and it is, as you can see, quite clearly has a good connection there to the control ship just here, which is fantastic. I'm hoping to get them spaced out about equidistant, so about 120 degrees apart, but everything so far has gone absolutely wrong for me in this game. So we'll head back to the Space Center and see how things go. So we're going to load, what did I call it? Relay Sat 1D, is I believe what I called it. Yeah, I think this is the one I ended up launching. Why is my flight engineer not showing me anything? Main display, okay, there we go. Yep, 12,770, that's exactly what we were thinking it would cost. Everything seems to line up really nicely. I guess let's let's just have at it. Let's go. I'm going to call this one though Relay Sat 2. Not because it's actually a different model, just because I want it to be the second one, so it has a different number. Okay, so now what we're going to need to do is experiment with this just a little bit. So we're going to start by deploying the antenna, because that is absolutely essential to get this thing to work. Now the next thing we're going to need to do is look on the orbital map to see where we are in terms of where the other things are, because I kind of want, like I said, to get one about here, and one about here. So I kind of want to space them out a little bit, but if I launch now, I have no idea what's going to happen. Let's just wing it and see. Before we wing it and see though, let's just make sure, yeah, these are pretty much definitely going to line up, so I should be fine. Yeah. You really never know what's going to happen until you hit spacebar and launch. So let's go. Let's start kicking this probe over a bit now. Not too far though, just a little bit more. And I did say this in the last episode, but for those of you who may not have seen that or may not have been watching then, basically the reason that I kicked this probe over so early is with the Ferram's aerodynamic research mod. You can end up in some, didn't mean to kick over that much. This is getting ugly. Yeah, you can end up with some really bad properties of your rocket if you try and accelerate up to 10 kilometers in altitude and then kick over to 45 degrees. This would be like a normal kind of launch parameter. Yeah, because of the way the drag works, you really have to kick over quite a lot earlier or do a much more gradual turn, because once you're going fast, you actually have to fight it, because it will really not want you to go at the kind of speed that you want to go at. And that is most unpleasant. So yeah, I should be able to get a good beam to bounce from there back, or from there down. Yeah, I think things should be working fairly well. They're about 10 kilometers. I want to start to get myself up into that thinner atmosphere. If I click on the surface option over here, what just happened? Oh no, not again. I don't know what's going on with that. It seems to just decide all of a sudden that it's going to just run away and not come back. Could be I have an issue with it. It's a pain having an issue with it. I don't like to have an issue with it. That's okay, I'm kind of going to cope anyway. Going to boost that up. I think now it's about time to go a bit flatter. Yeah, I'm definitely up into the thinner atmosphere now, so I can go much flatter. How are we doing for this first stage fuel? Just about to run out. There we go. So now that the first stage fuel has run out, we're going to push our nose right down and see how that goes. Going to try and get up to a fairly similar apoapsis to my actual ship here. Like I kind of want to get myself boosted up fairly high, and actually before I run out, let's cut thrust now. Let's set a maneuver node up there and just circularize this orbit. There we go, so we need 730. So let's turn the flight computer on. We want to point at the maneuver node, and we want to do 100% throttle. We want to do 730 meters per second in 232. Send. Okay, so what that's going to mean now is, even if everything goes really bad and I end up losing track of my probe completely, my probe is still going to fly itself, because it's going to get to that point and it's still going to circularize. I hope I've got enough delta V left in this stage. Well, actually the last one still had this stage left, so I've definitely got enough. But that's a good, I guess a good demo. That's gonna, oh no, that's gonna come down on land. Actually, I'm gonna watch that now. Just make sure that doesn't, because if that comes down on land, that's a penalty. Now what? Oh no, never mind. It's up above 100,000. The actual limit, the limit that was set was anything that is above 50 Ks is expected to burn up in the atmosphere. But in this particular case, I'm going to take some liberties and say that it's anything that's out of the atmosphere will burn up on re-entry. So in this case, that's 70. So yeah, it's high enough up now that it's going to come down and basically just burn up. We've actually still got a good line of sight to the Kerbal Space Center there. So this might not even have been necessary to set up this automatic maneuver. But to be honest, it's kind of like a little bit like Mech Jeb. Just makes things a bit easier for me. Kind of makes the price I paid for that probe sort of worthwhile too. There we go, burning now. Everything goes well. It's just going to keep burning until it gets to a 140 by 138 orbit. And then at that point, it is probably lucky we did this automatic, because that is too far around, it can't communicate directly, and we're going to be getting a tough line of sight to try and get those two to connect. How do we do? 174 by 125. That's not what I would call an ideal orbit. But whatever. There we go, look at that. We've now got ourselves on like to that one and then back orbit. Now quickly I want to set this up before I forget what I'm doing. I want to come around to, I want to make it about there, so about here. We want to add a maneuver and get that to boost us up until we get to the right apoapsis. 2831, that's definitely going to be close enough. So it's at 597. So flight computer, point to the maneuver node. We're going to burn 100. We're going to burn 597 at the maneuver node in 0008 20, and then I'll hit send when that says 20. Actually, I'll send it just before that, because you kind of want it to burn just a little bit before anyway, so it ends up in the right spot. And then that should have us completely under control until we get out to our correct altitude, or at least very close to our correct altitude. So we'll speed things up until we zip around. Yeah, definitely having that satellite in that position has made things much better, because I'm still under control now. So if everything did mess up, in fact, like things are about to, because we're about to run out of power. So thankfully we can extend those solar panels, because without power this probe would be in big trouble. So yeah, look at that. It's a big communications beam. You can see that we've got a 0.04 second delay. That's not a big deal, but once you get further out, it can become a big deal really quickly, because you can end up with it taking 30 seconds from when you try and tell it to start burning to when it actually starts burning. And that can be problematic. And that's the reason why it's important to make sure that you have like manned stations in the right spot at the right time. Okay, we burnt too much. Yep, we burnt too much. So what we're going to have to do now is for some reason now the stage is locked, so I have no control over it. So what we're going to have to do is go back to the Space Center and then come back to it, because we need to get that stage unlocked. And I don't know what key press actually changes it. I was sure it was Alt and then L would fix that. As my Kerbal engineers come back online. Thinking, yes, we need to burn retrograde a bit. Do we need to drop that orbit down? Just a touch though. Down to 2868 is the number we're aiming for. And I slightly overdid it. It's almost not worth worrying about, but because I can. There we go. That's got to be as close as I'm ever going to get. So what we're going to do now is come up here to our apoapsis, and we're going to add a maneuver node to basically circularize this out. Okay, that's what we want. Estimated burn time. Okay, so we want to go 100% throttle. Burn. We don't want burn time, we want delta V, and we want 409.6. And then we want to make it burn towards the maneuver node. And we want to make it burn 3 minutes 45 seconds less than that. So I want to go for 1 hour and 20 minutes. There we go. Do your best, flight computer. I want to see just how circular we can get this thing to go. And then if everything goes well, we should have a second probe, and we're not going to be in that beautiful 90 that I was hoping for. Actually, I was hoping for 120. It's there, and that's there. I put another one over there. That's not far off 120 degree coverage. Let's see how we end up with this orbit. Oh, that has got to be close. 2871, 2820, 2816, 2868. Actually, you know what? I think that's even closer than the last one. Together, the power of the probe. Now I want to delete you. Okay, fine. Drag you off. There we go. So, that is a successful mission. A successful mission number 2. So, we've now made back some of our money. Not all of it. I mean, we lost a lot of money in the last mission. But again, these things are not that important. Look at that. That's a beautiful view of... I'm sure that's the moon there. Just behind me? Behind me? Yeah, it's got to be the moon. Oh, and then Minimus. If we look up and left from the moon, we should see a Minimus. The question is, how far up and how far left? And how big is Minimus? I don't even know what I'm looking for. If anyone knows what I should be looking for, it would be awesome if you could tell me. It's definitely not that high. It's only like a couple of degrees up. So I'd be thinking it'd be like up here. Oh, that could be it there. That could be Minimus. I really can't zoom in. But yep, I think that's Minimus. Anyhow, another successful mission to head back to the Space Center to talk about. So let's see what the tracking station is showing. You know, ideally that would have been about here, but that's not bad. I mean, if I have to launch a 4th satellite to kind of fill that in, I really don't think I'm doing too badly. So, having made a little bit of money, it's now time to spend a little bit of money, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to attempt to create a ship. Actually no, I want to go for a... can't do that. Okay, new vessel. I'm going to go for this one. The Mark II cockpit. And the reason for that is on the front of this, I want to put control and avionics package. The avionics package is just completely not the right size though. That's okay, because they invented a structural thing for just such a situation. Control 1 avionics package. That will act like an SAS but for planes. So now that I have that, the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to need some oxygen. Life support, oxygen tank. Now how much do these things hold? Each one holds 1,000 oxygen, so that's actually quite a lot. How much does you? 7,500. Wow! So each one of these holds 1,000. I might chuck 2 of them on there because I want to make sure I have enough when I go up there. Now what I'm looking for as well now is like a little RCS tank. So we've got perfect. So we've got a little RCS tank, which will give me 100 monopropellant. That should be enough because I can't really see myself using a huge amount of it. Now the next thing that I'm going to add Now this is not going to be a standard thing for this particular build, but it is going to be essential for making sure that my system basically will work. And basically what's going to happen is, no matter how bad things go, I'm going to bash spacebar, and we want a small decoupler, and basically we're going to, if everything goes wrong, we're going to decouple this one, pop the chutes, and this thing is going to save my poor little Kerbal's life. So now, having said that, I'm going to stick on some rocket type fuel tanks. That's going to give me a very long, kind of thin sized body, maybe too long. Yeah, I think that's a bit better. And now I'm going to get these, I'm going to mount 2 of them, just a little higher and a little forward. And now I need to work out how to make this all stable, but let's go for our engines first, and we'll see how well this balances out after we're finished. So we want an engine there. Now we're going to need 2 jet engines. Those jet engines are going to need intakes. I think intakes are, I don't know why they're aerodynamic, but they're considered to be aerodynamic. So now we need to look at how our mass is going to be. Screw that, we need center of mass. Wow, that is a long way back. That's a lot better actually, that's kind of put it up near the middle. In fact, I wonder how far I can bring this forward and still have this stable. Yeah, I think we probably ended up with a design that might work here. But we're going to try it anyway. Basically what we're going to go for is we're going to go for some structural wings, and we want them to come off the body of the plane and be just below the engines. Perfect. Now we want to go for a like a wing connector piece. We want that to be basically in the same spot, and then we go for a large delta wing. It's kind of a space shuttle-esque wing. And then we check the center of lift, and we check the center of mass, and the center of lift is just behind the center of mass. So that means everything just comes forward a bit. Perfect, because now what we're going to do is we're going to add some of these delta wings to the back. And by putting those delta wings on the back there, we've pretty much brought it forward to the point where it works. Now we are going to need some serious directional stability here. The best way I can think of to do that is just with a very, very large tail fin. Kinda liking the look of this. I'm hoping that having the center of thrust that far above the center of mass isn't going to cause me any significant issues. I guess I'll probably find out fairly soon, but I always find I have not enough rudder authority. There we go. So a giant rudder. Why is that giant rudder off center? That's much better. Okay. So now we are going to need some wheels. Okay, so we're going to need some wheels. They're under utility. one single wheel under the nose, and then we're going to come back here somewhat, and just behind the center of mass we're going to mount 2. I said just behind, and I said 2. So that I think is going to give me a fairly stable platform to fly. It's going to be so expensive, but it's okay because this very first one is a control vehicle. We only want one of you, thank you. How are we doing? 23,680. Wow. Okay, that's. I'm going to have to cope with that. I'm going to have to cope with it. And the next thing I'm going to have to do is put some fuel ducting on. We've got some symmetry, so I want to go from this tank down to this tank. Why'd you not work? Try again. There we go. And now I also want to run fuel lines the opposite way to make sure that fuel can flow freely between the two of them, because I think that's going to be important for this vessel to work. It's going to have lots of ability to do different things. I'm not even sure that makes sense. Okay, but we have our Kerbal engineer, so let's write down the price, 24630. So that is, I'm going to put that in a box to let myself know that I only have to pay 1/5 of that. Now we are going to sweep the angle of attack, and we're going to update the center of lift and see if that changed anything. The center of lift is a little far back. This might take some creative flying to actually make this work properly. Center of mass is going to move a long way back though as we start to burn fuel, so I guess that's just I'm going to have to cope with that. But now that we have swept the angle of attack, those aren't going to stall. My rudder is going to stall, so we'll make that 17.5, and we'll say you are just a yaw controller. Now these ones here are my tail planes, so they are going to be just pitch controllers. And then we have these other ones, you can see they highlight green in the background. They are going to stall a lot, so 17.5, and they are going to do pitch and roll. So now I should have a plane that's ready to test. So we're going to call this the Kerbal X1. So it's going to be KX for all my experimental vehicles. And we're going to see how this thing flies. Let's hopefully not park it on its tail before we even get started. That seems to have worked okay. Let's fire up those two engines, throttle them up, rain down the runway. What about the abort? The abort. The abort. Okay, so that is the loss of one Kerbal. I don't know what happened. Clearly that didn't work that well. Yes, outcome was catastrophic failure. Thank you. I pretty much realized that myself. It's difficult to work out what went wrong there, because kinda didn't really have time for anything. Oh, that's not good. That is much less good, but it's okay because we have Jebediah in charge of things. Jebediah is going to bring us around. We definitely have lots of good throttle. I do need to work on that takeoff though. Why can I not get to auto? I mean, like a chase view. No, let's not roll it over completely on its back. You're awesome, Jebediah. Actually, Jebediah, you know what? You are so awesome, in fact. I feel like you are going to be able to bring this around, and you're going to bring this in for a safe landing at the strip. And this flies really nicely. I thought I was going to have like a serious pitch down problem with it, but it's going really well. Aside from the first little look at me, I'm going to explode on the runway thing, I have lots of control authority. I'm not even getting any slight stalling. We've done a big loop around. Had to cut the throttle right back actually, because probably doing a little bit too well. Because we're not bleeding off anywhere near enough speed. Oh no, Jebediah. Change that to loss of 2 complete aircraft. Let's one more go at that. Just one more go. What's that? 25%, so a quarter, so that's about 6, 12. Plus 2 dead Kerbals, which is, they're like, geez, that's a lot of money. But you know, it's all for science. Science is worth it. Before we even start moving, I'm going to put on that SAS, and that should hold me dead still. And we want a really gradual, like a trim back. So what happened there? Yes. Yeah, there was nobody successfully did any kind of escaping. Okay, so loss of 3 ships. Back to the spaceplane hangar. So clearly there is an issue, and we are going to fix that issue by hopefully just changing something as simple as the gear. Center of mass. So just behind the center of mass. So what this will do is this will prop up my ship just a nudge. 2 times symmetry. Much better. Okay. So that should make me sit just a little bit higher. So the price has now gone up to 24,650 for the 4th one. And why do I feel like I'm about to lose a 4th Kerbal this episode? Yeah, that definitely looks like, whoa. Yeah, that's definitely sitting better. So, SAS on, throttle up. We don't care about our orbital because we clearly are not going to orbit in this thing just yet. I'd like to think I have enough delta V to do it, but we're clearly not going to. No. Why do you keep dying so quickly? Why won't you live? And on that note, I think I have killed all the Kerbals I'm intending to kill today, and blown all the cash I'm going to blow. So I will see you guys back at the forums. Back soon. Okay guys, well, if anyone knows how to make a plane fly, or what I'm doing wrong to get that crazy like skittering yaw that kind of happens as you go left and right across the runway, please let me know, because like you saw, once it was in the air, it was stable as. On the ground though, horrible, and that's going to make landing very, very difficult. But I've already typed in all the information for what we just did, but I'll summarize here. Mission 4 was to launch ComSat 2 into geosynchronous-ish orbit. Video is going to go there soon. But I built the ship. That was the total cost of the ship, the same as the last one. Got it into orbit, so that's plus 10. Remember, because it was plus 40 for manned, plus 20 because it's a probe, so it's half, plus 10 because it's the second time I've done it, so down to only 10k bonus, which means I'm losing money, but then the 50% return on ship costs is kind of helping me to break even, and that research bonus is really pretty critical in getting things to work. So you can see I haven't gone far forward, but I did go a little bit far forward. The next though, part B, was to test fly the KX-1. Now, here's where things went pretty downhill for me. Now, the cost of building the 4 ships was 25% of the cost of 3 of those ships, the first kind, and one of the second ship that had the little tiny struts to help make the landing gear a bit lower. So that's minus 26, even with the 25. So even by multiplying it so that I'm only paying 25%, that's actually going to really annoy me, so I have to fix that. And in fact, I might just go, we need 25% of, so that looks much nicer. Now the next thing is, I have to pay full price for training the 4 Kerbals that I then went and killed. So it cost me $50,000, twice as much as the planes cost me, just to kill those Kerbals. So end of mission 1 going forward, end of mission 2 going a long way forward, end of mission 3 we went backwards a little bit, but we did have a lot of trial and error. Mission 4 started off so well, even though we only went forward a tiny bit, but then blowing up a couple of planes way back. Anyhow, I guess that's the way things work sometimes. You take a big step forward, you take a much bigger step back. But we're still ahead of where we started, and we've got some things in orbit, so it might be time to stop thinking about trying to fly space planes and start thinking about maybe trying to do something with the moon or Minimus. Anyhow, hopefully you guys are still enjoying the series. Stay tuned for the next episode, which should be coming out pretty soon. Astocky out.